How's it going, guys? It's HermitGRAB here, and Genshin Impact has collaborated with a lot of things. Some of them are absolutely absurd. From collaborating with a convenience store, a place that sells fried chicken, a place that sells pizza, and even a freaking car. If you pull up to work or school with a Genshin Impact car, I can't tell if I should be friends with you or avoid you. But either way, Genshin collabs are everywhere except in the game. The last time we had a Genshin collab in-game was with Aloy way back then at 2.1. And even then, during that time, Aloy wasn't that good. Other gachas out there have collaborated with numerous franchises and have turned gangbusters, and even brought in new fans into the product. But if Genshin Impact really wants to do an in-game collab, then I have 10 ideas. This is 10 Genshin Impact collabs that I want to see. Number 10, Honkai Impact 3rd. Now this may be a bit complicated, but hear me out. I mentioned on the previous video that Honkai Impact already collaborated with Genshin, but it was only in the Honkai Impact side of things. Honkai got Keqing and Fischl as new characters, but Genshin got nothing in return. I think that certain characters in Honkai can work in Genshin, but the issue is that compared to Honkai, Genshin isn't that action-packed, nor do they have to go all Devil May Cry to take enemies down. However, Genshin can look at Honkai Impact characters for ideas for skins. I think a skin from Genshin can potentially work in certain characters like Yae Miko to Yae Sakura, or Raiden Shogun to Raiden Mei, or Noelle to Rita. I think that this can work if they can go for the full 5-star skin option similar to Dilu, which gives them new voice lines and new animations. If it does happen, I think it can work. Plus, it's a way to return the favor since the Honkai collab happened a long time ago. Number 9, Honkai Star Rail. From one Honkai to another, Honkai Star Rail quickly stole the hearts and bank accounts of players and gave a very quick impression to the fanbase. But if we were to follow Genshin Impact and Honkai Impact, I think the older sister game needs to collab with the younger sister game. The thing is, Star Rail is a turn-based game, which means that some characters may not translate well to the action RPG style of Genshin. But the thing is, Star Rail has characters that are already super similar to Genshin, playstyle and even aesthetic, like March 7th and Diona, or Dan Heng and Kazuha and Xiao combined, and even Guanaifen and Yoimiya, and even Gaming, or Gaming. But in fairness, there are certain characters that could play similarly, like Hu Tao and Blade, but are different enough to have different teams, like Blade being a Claymore or Sword character and an Anemo character. However, if there are certain characters that would have their own playstyle, like Yanqing, Kafka, and Jingliu, I think that Star Rail collabing with Genshin can work. It's just that I think it won't translate as well aesthetically, since Star Rail's turn-based style allows more presentation and better animations. But combat-wise, I think it could translate perfectly. Number 8, SANRIO. Now you may think I'm crazy with this idea, and yes, I am, but hear me out. You see, Genshin is more than playable characters. I personally think that SANRIO can work with Genshin in terms of skins. Think about it, there's potential SANRIO skins for Genshin characters like My Melody with Amber, Cinnamoroll with Venti, Kuromi with Beidou, Agretsuko with Jean, and even the little twin stars with the Traveler twins. I honestly think it can work. Plus, if you want, you can include an event where a vendor from a faraway land or whatever comes to Inazuma and sells SANRIO furniture like how we do in real life. A bunch of SANRIO furniture for the teapot can be a good idea, and could even bring up furniture sets for characters that like the SANRIO set, and of course, bring more Primogems. Number 7, NieR Automata. There's only one character for the job, and that is 2B. I'm not really sure on how she's gonna work since she's well versed in numerous weapon styles, but I think she could be a Geo Sword character or even an Electro Sword character or Electro Claymore character. But nonetheless, 2B being included in Genshin could work since there's already comparisons to NieR Automata's combat style and even some animations. The main issue is that NieR has a weird timeline that includes every single game they had, including collaborations. I honestly have no idea how it can work with Genshin, but if it's just to see 2B as a playable character with no reason whatsoever, then I want to see her in the game. Number 6. Pokemon. This is a strange pick. And you may think that I want to have Pokemon added into Genshin as playable characters, even though some of them aren't really a bad idea. I'm thinking of skins for Genshin characters based on certain Pokemon, like Mona for Mismagius, or Nuvolette and Gyarados. Although we did have something similar to Pokemon with the Bongo Head event, but that wasn't really Pokemon. However, something similar to the SANRIO example could work, with Pokemon being used as furniture for the Serenity Teapot. There's already numerous things you can include into the teapot, like a life-size Wailord float or a Snorlax cushion. In fact, it kinda reminds me of the old secret bases we had way back when. Either way, I think a collab with Pokemon would be great, but the complexities of it all will be a bit strange. But more or less, the collab could work, especially with the skins, since there's over 1,000 Pokemon right now, and at least one of them will be a perfect skin for any Genshin character. Number 5. Hatsune Miku. This is kind of unlikely since Miku already has her own gacha, but never say never, you know? Hatsune Miku is the most well-known Vocaloid of all time, and there's no way she's gonna be a playable character. Though, to be fair, she was a playable character in Blue Archive, but I digress. Hatsune Miku could work in Genshin with an event where we celebrate the music of Genshin Impact, or Hoyomix collabs with Miku to create something crazy. But another situation where Miku can be a part of is as a skin, specifically for either Barbara or Faruzan. Barbara because she is the perfect character to fit the role, but if you say that she already has a skin, then Faruzan would be a great backup option. Either way, I really want to see Hatsune Miku into Genshin, and if she is featured in an event, I hope that her iconic leek becomes a playable weapon in the game. I mean, we already have crazy weapons like a fish, a cardboard sword, a pipe, and a fish. So her leek would be a great addition to the weapon roster, and just goes to show that anything, and I mean anything, can be a weapon in Genshin. Number 4. Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy has plenty to provide as playable characters in Genshin, and it's a crazy amount of characters. But the ones I'm going for aren't in the modern games, or even in the classics. The ones I'm going for are the characters from any of the Dissidia games, excluding Opera Amina. All of them have so many to bring into Genshin like Firion, Cloud, Tidus, and even Lightning. So I think picking an element for them would work, since they have a lot of elemental magic and have suitable weapons fitting the Genshin system. And even if we include the potential for a light and darkness element like in my bold Genshin predictions video, then you can include the entirety of Final Fantasy IV. But the movements of these characters can be recreated from Dissidia Duodecim, which in my opinion is the best Dissidia game by far. That or Hoyoverse can look at Dissidia NT to get the right inspiration for how these characters will go. But either way, a Final Fantasy collab with Genshin could be seamless and amazing. Number 3. Demon Slayer. This one is kinda meta in a way. Considering that Genshin had a concept trailer for the Genshin Impact anime, many people thought of Genshin collabing with Demon Slayer, majorly because the animation studio mentioned in the trailer was Ufotable, the same animation studio that made Demon Slayer. And coincidentally, both of them have main characters that use a sword, have water powers, and is voiced by Zach Aguilar. Although other characters can be brought in to fit Genshin's combat system like Zenitsu, but I think that Tanjiro is the only character I would pick for the collab. Even though he may be similar to Ayato, Tanjiro would be a pretty fun character to play, especially if they transfer the art style of his moves properly. He could potentially have his own move list, which could make him different from every other character in Genshin. Hoyoverse can take inspiration from Demon Slayer's games into his fighting animations, even though it's not as action-packed. But a Demon Slayer collab would just be super fun and cool to see. Number 2. Persona. It's no surprise that I love Persona, specifically Persona 5, but I'm including every single Persona game that's available. And yes, that includes Persona 1 and 2. Both of them. But Persona could bring a lot to the table with Genshin, since some of the combat can work with the characters since they already have a weapon perfect for Genshin's system, and have their corresponding element. In fact, there's a lot to choose, like Yukari, Mitsuru, and both MCs from Persona 3, Yukiko, Chei, and MC from Persona 4, and Ryuji, Yusuke, and MC from Persona 5. And all of these are just the tip of the iceberg. Persona may not have that many fighting animations to take reference, but the closest thing that's available and seamless is in Persona 5 Strikers. Coincidentally, Persona 5 Strikers uses the Unity engine, the same game engine for Genshin Impact, so we could potentially see the same animations from Persona 5 Strikers into Genshin. But I'd love to see some of the other Persona games like 3 and 4 get some shine, especially since Persona 3 is gonna get a remake, which Persona 4 could follow. Either way, Genshin and a Persona collab would be perfect, and I would geek out so much if it ever becomes real. And number 1, Fire Emblem. If there has to be one collab that would fit seamlessly into Genshin, it has to be Fire Emblem. The setting, weapon system, and even element system are similar. Fire Emblem has plenty to give references like Fire Emblem Warriors and Fire Emblem Three Hopes. And all of these games are in the Unity engine, so the combat can work. Also, the benefit of Fire Emblem is that every single character can use any weapon. Well, as long as it's the modern Fire Emblem games like Three Houses and Engage. But Fire Emblem would be an amazing inclusion into Genshin's collab gallery. Picture this, Roy as a Pyro sword character, or Ike as a Geo Claymore character, or even Lyn as an Anemo bow character. It's just that there's so many potential characters to be included from Fire Emblem that could potentially work. I know this is not gonna happen as long as Genshin is not included in a Nintendo console, but if by some miracle the Nintendo release actually happens, then Fire Emblem should have first dibs on a collab. Thank you guys for watching, and please like and subscribe to the channel with post notifications on. Make sure to comment down below what collab do you want to see happen in Genshin Impact. I'll reply to as many comments as I can. Shout out to Shiora for the support. And as always, I'm HermitGRAB, and I'll see you soon.